Lewis Hamilton is officially heading to Ferrari in 2025. It's a move that's set to shake up Formula One, but is it the perfect fit? Could this be the dream team to bring Ferrari back to the top step and win Hamilton his 8th world title? I dug into the data, and it turns out it's not as straightforward as you might think. Lewis Hamilton had his eye on Ferrari for a while, often expressing a desire to race for the legendary Italian team. But he kept renewing his contract with Mercedes until this February. This move is probably the most daring one of his career, and maybe even the most uncertain. Mercedes hasn't quite lived up to expectations under the new 2022 Formula One rules. For the past 2 years, Hamilton hasn't felt fully comfortable with his cars. His era of dominance was interrupted by Red Bull and Max Verstappen in 2021 at Abu Dhabi. Even though Mercedes finished the 2023 season just 3 points ahead of Ferrari, their performance in the latter half of the season was not as strong as Maranello's, which almost overtook them in the constructors' standings. This decline likely pushed Hamilton to sign with Ferrari. Early in the year, Mercedes was struggling, and the 7-time world champion was openly critical of the car and the team. At that point, his move to Ferrari seemed almost like it was meant to be. A few months ago, Hamilton's decision seemed like a smart one. Ferrari had a solid start to the 2024 season, while Mercedes was having a tough time. People began to speculate if Hamilton had spotted another golden opportunity, much like when he joined Mercedes in 2013 and went on to dominate the sport. But as the season progressed, things took a turn. Mercedes started to regain their strength, proving they were still a force to be reckoned with. The turning point came around the Canadian Grand Prix. Mercedes finally found the right development path after struggling under the new regulations, with upgrades that hadn't panned out. Since then, Hamilton has won 2 of the last 3 races and has been on the podium 4 out of 5 times. By now, Hamilton might be second-guessing his decision, perhaps even regretting leaving his family at Mercedes to take on a new challenge with Ferrari. But what's more troubling for him is that Ferrari has hit a rough patch since Monaco. Ferrari rolled out a new upgrade package at Imola, which they hoped would be a game-changer in the title race. However, they've only managed 2 podium finishes, and even those came more from luck than from the car's performance. One of Ferrari's podiums this season came from Carlos Sainz in Austria, but only after an incident involving Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. The other was from Charles Leclerc at Spa, thanks to George Russell's disqualification. Without that disqualification in Belgium, the gap between Ferrari and Mercedes would be even smaller. Just 58 points instead of the 128 points it was 6 races ago. Even with Russell's disqualification, Mercedes still outscored Ferrari at Spa, largely due to Lewis Hamilton's victory. Ferrari has also been struggling with porpoising issues since the Spanish Grand Prix. Ferrari's working on solutions, but it's too early to say if they'll be effective. The one bright spot for Ferrari is that they're still close to Mercedes in qualifying pace. But since Canada, Mercedes has closed the gap in 1-lap speed. In terms of race pace, though, Mercedes has been much more reliable lately. Across different circuits and varying conditions, Mercedes has been consistently outperforming Ferrari. The Italians are still searching for the right balance with their SF24, and this inconsistency has affected Charles Leclerc's performance. Since winning in Monaco, Leclerc has been less impressive and is now sitting 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton has been closing the gap, reducing Leclerc's lead by about 11 points per race. All of this clearly showcases that Hamilton is comfortable in an increasingly competitive car, while Leclerc is struggling with an inconsistent Ferrari that just can't keep up with McLaren, Red Bull, and now Mercedes too. Mercedes' comeback has caught everyone by surprise, including Hamilton, who might have felt confident about his decision to join Ferrari after Mercedes' rough start to the season. But in just 5 races, the situation has changed drastically. While the gap between Ferrari and Mercedes isn't impossible to overcome, it's definitely going to be a challenge. A solid aerodynamic upgrade could put Ferrari back in the fight, but budget constraints are becoming a real concern. Plus, the major upgrade Ferrari introduced at the Imola Grand Prix didn't deliver the results they were hoping for. With less than half the season left, and with the 2025 Formula One season continuing under the same regulations, Mercedes seems poised to finish this year strong and build a solid foundation to compete for the 2025 championship. But now recent developments seem to suggest that Hamilton's arrival is already starting to shape Ferrari's car design for the 2025 season. Italian publication Formula One AI Uno has revealed that Ferrari has taken the first definitive decisions over the design of the team's F1 2025 car. A revised wheelbase, targeted at a more advanced center of pressure, is on the cards, yet arguably the most significant change concerns a move to a pull-rod front suspension. This move marks a significant departure from their current setup, as Ferrari prepares to adapt to Hamilton's driving style, which is more aligned with Charles Leclerc's style. This decision is a big deal because Ferrari's suspension choices have been under the microscope throughout the current ground effect era. Ferrari and their customer team, Haas, have been among the few to stick with a pull-rod rear suspension, while most other teams on the grid, including Red Bull and McLaren, have opted for a pushrod setup. The switch to a pull-rod front suspension is expected to offer a clear aerodynamic advantage, particularly in how it improves airflow at the front of the car. This is crucial because the underfloor of the car plays a significant role in generating downforce under the current regulations. However, this change isn't just about bolting on new parts. A move to a pull-rod front suspension would almost certainly require Ferrari to develop an entirely new chassis for 2025. This would include new suspension arms and attachments, and could even result in adjusting the driver's cockpit position to optimize weight distribution. Hamilton has previously voiced his concerns about his seating position at Mercedes in 2023, complaining that sitting too close to the front wheels was one of the worst feelings when driving. Ferrari's willingness to consider these changes shows just how serious they are about making Hamilton feel at home in their car. Interestingly, Ferrari's previous reluctance to change their suspension design was largely driven by former technical director Enrico Cardile, who has since announced his move to Aston Martin for the 2025 season. Cardile had maintained that there wasn't a significant difference between pull-rod and push-rod suspensions at the rear, which is why Ferrari stayed the course. But with Cardile's departure, Ferrari seems more open to rethinking their approach. In the meantime, team principal Fred Vasseur is stepping up to handle these technical decisions on an interim basis. However, the real shift may come when Loic Serra, formerly with Mercedes, takes over as Ferrari's new technical leader this October. Serra's arrival is expected to bring fresh insights, particularly given his experience at Mercedes, and could further influence Ferrari's direction as they gear up to welcome Hamilton. So here's the big question: can Hamilton really turn things around at Ferrari? There's no doubt he's one of the all-time greats in F1, but in this sport, it's not just about having the best driver. You need the whole package: a fast car, a strong team, and everything working together seamlessly. That's where Ferrari has struggled in recent years. Even with Hamilton on board, he can't fix everything on his own. The issues with strategy, car reliability, and development are all areas where he'll need solid backing. If Ferrari can get their act together and improve the car, Hamilton's move could pay off in a big way. But that's a huge if. With less than half a season left, and with the 2025 regulations staying pretty much the same, Mercedes looks to be in a strong position to finish this year on a high note. They also seem to have a solid foundation for fighting for the championship in 2025. You have to wonder what's going through Lewis's mind as he looks at all this data and reflects on leaving the team that helped him break so many records. So what do you guys think about Hamilton's move to Ferrari? Will his arrival take Ferrari back to its championship-winning days? Or is this his last hurrah before closing the curtains on his legendary career? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest F1 news.